Patriots. 40 years later, we're going back to tell the story of the first Patriots team to make it to a Super Bowl, a special team that blazed a pathway that we much traveled over the next 4 decades. Hear from the players and coaches, as well as the sounds from television and radio that define the season, as we uncover what made this a Patriots team to remember, even if they didn't win a Super Bowl championship.
Hector stopped by Tippett. Annihilated might be a better word.
Rolling out to the right side, avoiding the pressure, on the run, he throws, complete for a touchdown, Lynn Dawson in the end zone, 6 points, Patriots. Touchdown, Patriots, Tony Collins, the Patriots have the lead.
I'm Mike Dussault, and this is a Patriots Super Bowl Sound Odyssey, 1985. Episode 2, Training Ground.
Things changed in 1984. Raymond Berry, ex-Baltimore Colt great, took over as head coach. Berry is liked by his players, and he knows how to communicate with them.
I could just see the fact that it was just a matter of time if they kept doing the things they were doing, was they were playing great effort football, and they were just giving everything they had. And when you do that, you just hang in there. It's going to pay off, and that's what I told them.
Raymond Berry took over the Patriots midway through the 1984 season, going 4-4 and finishing the year 9-7, second in the AFC East to the Dolphins, and once again on the outside looking in at the playoffs. When the 1985 offseason arrived, Berry finally had the chance to mold the team his way from the start.
The situation was ripe for a team collapse, and yet the Foxborough boys rallied behind their new coach, the quiet but forceful Raymond Berry. As a player, Berry had shown class in becoming one of the NFL's all-time receiving greats. Perhaps these qualities are just what the Patriots need to move them from the status of NFL curio to NFL contender.
A Pro Football Hall of Fame receiver, Berry played 13 seasons with the Baltimore Colts, with 6 Pro Bowls, 3 All-Pro nods, and 2 NFL championships. In the 1958 NFL championship, often referred to as the greatest game ever played because of its sudden death ending, Berry had a career day with 12 catches for 178 yards and a touchdown, as the Colts beat the Giants in overtime for the title.
United States fakes to Amici, throws down in the end zone, and it's a touchdown. Hey, Berry, the Colts at the line of scrimmage. Flanker to the right, the ends are tight. United States begins to Amici, and the ball game is over. Alan Amici has scored the touchdown, and the Baltimore Colts are the professional football champions of the world.
But even then, Berry was unsatisfied with his performance, an early sign of the accountability that he would require from his players as a coach.
Every game that year, I graded myself on 100% effort. Did I do it or not? If I did it, I'd give myself a plus. If I didn't, I'd do a minus. And in this championship game, 1958 championship game, where we won the world title, and I probably had the best game I ever had as a receiver, I was 56% on effort.
Berry's impact was immediate. Players noticed the difference in how meetings were run, how practices were structured, how they were spoken to. Patriots general manager Patrick Sullivan made a bold move midway through the 1984 season, knowing he had a limited window with a team that had all the right elements.
We added the critical element, which was Raymond Berry, and he pulled everything together. You know, and I can easily say and honestly say that from 1973 through 1984. We had really good players, but everybody was going in a different direction. It was honestly a bit concerning and frightening, honestly, because I had sort of put my neck on the line by hiring Raymond, who hadn't been in football for a couple of years, and but I always felt, that there would be some kind of moment in time in which everybody would look around and realize that they had this really unique opportunity because they had good players. They knew they were good players.
The locker room included a nice mix of older veterans like Pete Brock, who had tasted success in the 70s.
He really spent some time, put together a good bunch of assistant coaches, and in '85, going to training camp at Bryant, he stood in front of us and he said, "Who wants to go to the Super Bowl?" And everybody's hands went up. And he said, he started telling us then what the cost would be for us to get there. And it wasn't like the hands went down, but it was a hard awakening to, if we were going to be successful, and if we were going to be successful as a team, then there was some things that we had to do differently. And he had us concentrating on the little stuff.
Tony Collins had been a Pro Bowler in 1983 and would see his production reach new heights in 1985.
Let me tell you what you had, Tony. 23 carries, 210 yards, a New England Patriots single-game rushing record. Tied a record held by Sam Cunningham with 3 touchdowns in a football game. You had 5 runs over 10 yards, 38, 22, 31, 21, and 23. You couldn't have expected to have that kind of day rushing against the New York Jets.
And he was an amazing coach. I mean, of course, he was an amazing player, but I think he was just as good of a coach as he was a player because, the time that he was with New England and what he did, not just the winning part, the way he coached us, man. I always remember Coach Barry as a father figure, and I looked up to him, and I still look up to him today because of that.
Irving Fryer was 1984's first overall pick, and someone who would learn plenty from the Hall of Fame wide receiver, now the Patriots head coach.
When Raymond came, we knew that he was a Hall of Famer. We knew that he was a historian in terms of football. We knew that at least he knew how to play football. Don't know what kind of coach he's going to be, but we knew that he knew about the game. So we gravitated to him, particularly the wide receivers. We gravitated to him as much as possible. He taught me things, just not necessarily on the field, but just how to strengthen my hands and how to catch the ball better, what kind of drills to do, because these are things that he did that granted him the Hall of Fame.
With a string of solid drafts and a core of veteran leadership, the 85 Patriots had all the right ingredients. Barry focused on fundamentals and details to bring it all together.
The one I can remember as an example is we had a fumble drill. We did it at the beginning of practice. After we warmed up and everything, everybody got into their groups as position groups, right? And we had fumble drill. The ball hit the ground. You were taught how to recover a fumble. And offensive linemen had to do it, without jumping on the ball and popping it. There was a method of it, and some guys then got real creative and said, okay, if we're going to recover fumbles, then let's practice scooping the ball, right? So that they could advance it, not just possess it.
Linemen, kickers, it didn't matter who you were going to do this drill of picking up fumble and how to recover a fumble. And the defense, they taught the defense every single day, man. We went through this drill, how to strip the ball and recover the fumble.
Defenders like Andre Tippett might have wondered why the fumble drill became a new staple of practice, but it was something that would pay many dividends in the season.
We got to block punts. We got to scoop. We got to do all this stuff part of drill work. And, we're all looking around at Barry, what the WTF? Why are we doing this? I'm like, we're veterans, we're football. We don't out here scooping up balls and block. But you know what? That's what we did. We blocked punts. We blocked field goals. We were all in lines. We did this for a whole period. It was a part of our periods, scooping the ball up. One man grab, next man takes the ball out, creating turnover, creating fumbles. We did that drill work. And what happened, I believe we probably got like 7 turnovers for touchdowns throughout the season. How many strip sacks, strip fumbles, scooping scores, all of that stuff was done because Raymond Barry had us doing it.
Ramsden again in motion. Handoff up the middle. Bell lost the football. The Patriots say they have it. The officials concur. Andre Tippett, the recovery of the Greg Bell fumble.
Barry even broke out a unique training method using a popular children's favorite.
Here's an egg that's full of fun. Silly putty. Silly putty is fun for almost everyone.
Yeah. Raymond Barry had silly putty in all our meeting rooms. Yeah. And if he came by, stuck his head in the room, and as we were in the meeting going through the day's setup, and if you wasn't working the putty, he'd find you. And we knew that he was going to be coming, or we'd hear him coming. Everybody grabbed their putty out, and we'd be up there. But you know what it did? It saved your fingers. It strengthened them. It stopped the injuries, because he knew as a receiver, you get those lingering injuries from not strengthening your hands and different things like that. But it was stuff like that.
The other thing that he taught us, too, was the most important play of the season is the next one, because it's the only one that you had control over. You couldn't do anything about what just happened, and you couldn't do anything about what was going to happen, but only that very next play. So you broke the huddle thinking, and he challenged us to grade ourselves on just that. Are you giving 100% on every play? And taught us that, the likelihood was that you weren't, but the more you strive to, the better off you're going to be, and have that around the other players too.
Berry also made a critical decision on the coaching staff by bringing back defensive coordinator Rod Rust, who had been fired by Meyer early in the 1984 season, only to return once Berry was hired. Rust's 3-4 scheme empowered the playmaking linebackers, and his return was a welcome one for players like Andre Tippett.
Rod was our guy, man. It was like, you can't fire Rod. He's the heart of our freaking defense. We knew our defense. We knew what Rod was setting us up for, and we were kind of pissed. But when he got fired, and then the owners were out of town at a league meeting, and then they returned the next day, they ended up firing Myers and then bringing Rod back.
Rust's defense was a veteran group with one critical rookie addition. First-round pick Garen Veras would make the biggest impact of any Patriots rookie in 1985 with 10 sacks, maximizing his increased opportunities when injuries struck.
When I got drafted, I have to be honest, I really knew very, very little about the New England Patriots. And I knew that the Patriots were one of the teams that was potentially looking at me to draft with their needs at defensive line. But, I still had no idea where or when and who I'd get drafted by. But, when I got back there, I had a great defensive line. Julius Adams was my mentor, and I could remember the first week of practice. I think I sprained my ankle, and I'm sitting in the training room, and Julius walks in and said, "Get your butt up off there, Rook, and rub a potato on it and get back out there on the field." And I said, "This is pro football. This is the way it's got to be. You've got to fight through the injuries."
The 3-4 defense gave the Patriots flexibility and would be the same scheme that Bill Belichick employed as his base defense when he took over the Patriots in 2000. Tippett recalled seeing Belichick's defense and getting a feeling of familiarity that connected to an earlier visit by Belichick with Rust in the 80s.
I smiled because I could talk to the young guys and share, things that I did and what I look for, and, little tips here and there, and things to look out for. And I think Bill knew the success of that. He had it when he was in New York with LT and Carl Banks and Harry Carson and Gary Reason and those guys that played. So, it's like, I think Bill spent some time talking with Rod Rust a few off seasons that, you heard about. I remember during the off season, I see this guy walking around the old Sullivan Stadium, and I see Rod. I happened to be over there finishing working out, and I was going up to see Rod for something. And I'm like, "Hey, who's that guy right there, walking around the building?" You didn't know who he was. And Rod's like, "Oh, it's Belichick."
At quarterback, 1983 15th overall pick Tony Eason was entering his third season. After taking over for the final 4 games of his rookie season, Eason went 7-6 in 1984, throwing 23 touchdowns to just 8 interceptions, but also while taking a league-high 59 sacks.
Eason stepped into an ideal situation. Steve Grogan, the incumbent quarterback's years were numbered. He knew he would get his chance to play soon enough, while having the luxury of time to sit behind Grogan.
Backing up Eason was 32-year-old Steve Grogan, who had played a career-low 3 games in 1984 as Eason ascended to the forefront. Still, Grogan was an important part of the team and one of the key remaining core pieces from the 70s.
Few took notice when Steve Grogan joined the New England Patriots in 1975.
But by the end of the 76 season, the unheralded fifth-round pick had become the talk of the league.
Both quarterbacks would be instrumental in the overall team success of 1985.
I told the media, before the season ever started, that in my opinion, we had one of the best situations of any team in the NFL. We had two quarterbacks that could take us all the way, and that's the way I believe. I had no idea when I said that was going to end up being the case, because they both have.
But the engine of the offense remained the same as it was in the late 70s. A fearsome group of running backs behind a ferocious offensive line. A four-headed monster that would help both quarterbacks navigate the season, starting with Tony Collins and Craig James.
There's a handoff to James again. A little bit of smart running as far as James was concerned, and got up into the line of scrimmage. He stopped, let people run around him, then picked up an extra couple of yards.
Not only smart running, but I have to question the Packer defense. That was a play that could have been stopped at the line of scrimmage or even for a yard loss, yet the man picks up a few yards.
There's a handoff to Tony Collins. Collins is doing some smart running, I think, out there. He's getting up behind the line of scrimmage and actually picking his own holes. I think the offensive system is to let him run wherever he wants.
Of course, Collins was a top draft choice in 81. He was drafted number 2. He's Pro Bowl in 84.
Because, see, I was a halfback, and Craig was a halfback too, but they actually put Craig at fullback. So fullbacks, what they usually do is block. But I was a better blocker than Craig was. And so my role reduced. He was a fullback, I was a halfback, but I was the blocking back. But I caught a bunch of passes out of the backfield that year.
The second man is Tony Collins. Has some room across the 20 and slides up to the 25. A 13-yard pickup for Collins, and that's a quarter of the Patriots' total offense.
Robert Weathers and Mosley Tupu, they would come in short yardage, and man, they did a hell of a job. I thought we had, as far as a combination of good runners and blockers, I thought that year our backfield was the best backfield as far as combination-wise as a team in the league.
I think it was really in the coaches' hands to figure out exactly what are we going to be. They had seen that we were a powerful team, that we believed we could run the ball, and if it was 3rd and 1, we were going to do it. We didn't need the tush push. We ran the football. And when we decided that we were going to be a physical, running football team, that's when we took over and we made our way to the Super Bowl.
At center, Pete Brock had blocked for a record-setting ground game in 1978. And while 1985's attack was different, there were plenty of similarities once they got rolling.
We still pulled and trapped and did some of the things that gave us success in 78, but it was, there were zone blocking and reach blocking, and things had evolved offensively a little bit, but we knew that we could be effective and run the football, because a lot of those guys, now we had the younger versions of what we had in 78, with Brian Holloway at 1 tackles, Steve Moore, Ron Wooten at guard, John Hanna's still there, at left guard, was really kind of the leader of that whole offensive line to begin with. So it was a different game, but it was, we could make it happen. So same mentality.
At receiver, Stanley Morgan entered his 9th season at 30 years old, joined by 1984's first overall selection, Irving Fryer.
Brogan goes deep. Fryer, touchdown!
Fryer had just 11 catches and 1 touchdown as a rookie, but possessed game-changing speed and electric return ability.
Stanley could play, and Stanley wasn't a big guy. He was a burner, but he was a tough guy. He was smart. He was very elusive, and he could catch the ball. He had really good hands. So, yes, if anybody deserves to be in the HOF, the Hall of Fame, Stanley does. And there are guys in that position, the wide receiver position, that are in the Hall of Fame whose numbers don't match Stanley.
Fires down the pipe, complete. He's got Morgan from 35 to 40, down to 30 to 25 to 20, to 10 to 5. Touchdown, New England!
Cedric Jones and Stephen Starring rounded out the receiving group, while Derek Ramsey and Lynn Dawson were tight ends vital to the potent running attack.
Eason from the shotgun formation. Throws into the end zone. Touchdown, New England! We mentioned that Tony Eason likes to look for their tight end, Derek Ramsey, down by the goal line.
And what a move he put on number 26, Frizzell. He faked outside, went inside. See Frizzell? He's about 3 yards behind. That's because Ramsey put a quick move, faked to the outside, and then went inside.
Despite their dominance on the ground and the presence of 2 game-changing wide receivers, the 85 Patriots offense would get key contributions from everyone, including Cedric Jones.
Well, it was a lot different. The philosophy was a lot different in offensive philosophy than it is today. Guys throw it all the time, and back then, three things happened when you threw the ball was the philosophy, and two of them were bad, incompletion and interception. So we had a big offensive line. We had the second largest offensive line in the league, averaged 6'5.5" height and 287 weight-wise. So Raymond loved to pound the ball, and he knew he had, playmakers on the outside when we needed to throw it.
On the other side of the ball, the 85 Patriots defense had everything they'd need to stake their claim as one of the greatest Patriots defenses of all time, led by future Hall of Famer Andre Tippett.
I don't believe what I just saw. Andre Tippett just took Paul Kaufman, number 82, and flung him aside like he wasn't even standing there. Take a look at this, Jim. This is incredible. Watch Tippett, number 56. Watch how strong he is. He just grabs him and throws him aside to the ground.
Again, we were young. We were hungry. We took pride in knowing that every game we went into with Rod Russ and we had Steve Nelson and Fred Marion out there. Two of the smartest guys I've ever been associated with. And so with Rod Russ calling the defense, Steve Nelson making the checks, and Fred Marion co-signing on him, nobody could beat us. Nobody could sneak anything in on us with any of this stuff because these guys were on the checks, and then we were just out there to just wear you out.
One of the most impressive things about the Patriots secondary and their whole defensive unit, John, I think you agree, is their linebacking core. Big, strong, fast, and one of the best in the league.
And besides that, Jim, definitely, they've been playing together for about 4 years now. And Steve Nelson, in his 12th year, is a man who is like a coach on the field that settles down the young talent like the Tippetts and the Blackmans. And they are the best part of the defense of the New England Patriots.
Special teams would also play a key role during the 1985 season, led by Dante Scarnecchia. They would make game-changing plays all season long, whether it was kicks, punts, or returns.
Pryor at the 15. Gets a block. Gets away. Outruns Kidd. He could go. A touchdown for Irving Pryor. An 85-yard touchdown return.
We had special teams that Dante Scarnecchia was the man. Dante, nobody, as great as he's gotten accolades for being an offensive lineman, he was as great as a special teams coach. And everybody wanted to play great for him on special teams. And as it was, between the turnovers that year and the things that got created through special teams is a declaration to how great of a special teams coach Dante Scarnecchia was.
We had a real knack for knocking the ball out of returners and getting fumbles. And then I don't even remember, it was like 4 or 5 occasions we're able to return them for touchdowns. So, they were just really, it was a special group of guys. But, and you need, if you have a good football team, you need to be good on offense, defense, and special teams. And we were certainly good in all 3 of those areas.
Ron Stark kicking to Irving Pryor. Pryor's at 23. To the 30. 35. Touchback. He's got it. 77 yards.
Irving Pryor would earn a Pro Bowl nod in 1985 as a punt returner.
The way Dante set it up, there was only one guy I had to make miss, and that was the center. So if the center got down the field in time for me to pick him up and see him, he was the only one I had to miss. Everybody else was taken care of. And we do right or left returns. We never did anything up the middle. And he just understood my weaknesses or my strengths, whatever they were, and allowed me to do what I did the best, which was turn the corner and get up the field. And, man, we had a great time. He was very, very intricate in how he put things together, special teams wise, and I had a lot of confidence back there because I knew he knew what he was doing, and we were effective on special teams.
Berry's calm leadership, Russ's aggressive scheme, Scarnecchia's attention to detail, and a roster with a perfect blend of young talent and veteran leadership. The Patriots were ready. After a 1-3 preseason that included 2 one-point losses, the 85 Patriots broke training camp at Bryant College in Rhode Island, ready to finally put it all together.
The other thing that he said in that training camp is you have to learn to love one another. Now say that in front of a bunch of NFL players and get away with it, right? And he did. What he meant was you have to care for your teammate, you know, so you have to do your job and trust that he's going to do his. And you know, it was that kind of formulation of how we started to believe that we could make this happen. So we left training camp, you know, with a plan, and it was a Raymond Berry plan. Raymond Berry, you know, Hall of Fame Raymond Berry. I mean, you know, one of the greatest games in NFL history, Raymond Berry.
Raymond Berry, former player, former coach, knew both sides of the equation, the player side, the coaching side, and he knew that he was walking into something that was really, really, really starting to mesh. You had veteran, young guys who have pushed themselves and developed to be a great team, great players, and he took it and he put his little twist in it. He pushed us hard, but he knew enough to kind of let us relax on certain things. He didn't demand that, but we always knew how to work hard. All of us knew how to work. Nobody ever loafed in practice. Nobody worked harder than what we do.
Next time on a Patriots Super Bowl Sound Odyssey, the season begins with an up-and-down start that will leave the Patriots at an early crossroads.
Here's James again. Back to the inside, and he has some running room. You better look out. James will score. A 65-yard touchdown run by Greg James.
With Stanley Morgan out and now Irvin Fire leaving, it certainly puts a crimp in the Patriot offense.